All right, we're live. Welcome back to the Conversation Lab. I'm Leo, still confused about life, still asking dangerous questions.
And I'm Victor, here to make those questions slightly more dangerous, but at least organized.
Slightly? Nah, man, you make things worse. You don't answer questions, you turn them into, philosophical boss fights.
That's because most questions are boss fights. People just pretend they're multiple choice.
Yeah, well, today, this is not multiple choice. This is prisoner therapy.
Go on.
Okay, so here's the scenario. You're given a button. If you press it, you get $2 billion.
Hmm.
But 2,000 people die, randomly, somewhere in the world, instantly.
Clean trade. Brutal, but clean.
Clean? Bro, what part of 2,000 people dying is clean?
Clean in the sense that the terms are clear. No ambiguity. No hidden clauses. You press, they die. You get paid.
That's not clean. That's evil with good Wi-Fi.
That's one way to frame it.
Nah, don't frame it like it's a painting. That's murder, like mass murder.
Is it you murdering them, though?
Yes, you press the button.
Or are you accepting a system where harm occurs in exchange for benefit, which, by the way, is already how the world operates?
Don't do that. Don't start comparing this to, buying shoes or something.
Why not? Some supply chains involve exploitation, dangerous labor conditions, even deaths. People still consume.
That's different. That's not direct.
So your issue is proximity, not consequence.
My issue is I'm not sitting there pressing a kill 2,000 people button like I'm ordering pizza.
Fair. But let's not escape too quickly. The question is testing something deeper. Would you trade lives for value? And if so, how many lives? And what kind of value?
Okay, wait. Let me ask you straight. Would you press it?
My instinct says no.
Instinct? That sounds like you're about to betray your instinct with logic.
I'm about to interrogate it, yes.
Of course you are.
Let's quantify it. 2,000 lives. Assume an average remaining lifespan, say 40 years per person. That's 80,000 life years erased.
Bro, why are you turning people into math?
Because policy decisions already do this. Governments use cost-benefit analysis. There's something called the value of a statistical life, VSL.
That sounds illegal.
It's not. In many countries, it's around $5 million to $10 million per life when evaluating safety regulations.
Wait, so governments are basically like your life is worth X dollars?
In a practical sense, yes. It helps decide things like whether to build safer roads or impose stricter safety standards.
That's uncomfortable.
Reality often is.
Okay, so if we follow your cold calculator brain, 2,000 people times, let's say, $5 million each.
That's $10 billion in life value.
And you're only getting $2 billion.
Exactly. So from a pure economic efficiency perspective, it's a bad deal.
Wow, so even your evil spreadsheet says no.
Not evil, just consistent.
That's actually kind of funny. Like imagine going to hell and the devil's like, why'd you do it? And you're like, it was financially inefficient.
I suspect the devil appreciates margins.
But okay, forget the math. Let's say, emotionally, right? Those are 2,000 families destroyed. Kids losing parents, parents losing kids.
Yes.
You don't recover from that with money, not even $2 billion.
Not directly, no.
So why is this even a question? It's obviously no.
Is it?
Yes.
Let me complicate it.
Of course you will.
What if you could use that $2 billion to save more than 2,000 lives?
What?
Public health interventions, clean water projects, vaccination campaigns, education programs. With $2 billion, you could potentially save tens of thousands of lives over time.
So you're saying, kill 2,000 now to save 50,000 later?
That's one possible framing.
That's messed up.
It's utilitarianism.
It's villain logic.
It's also how some real-world decisions work. For example, allocating limited medical resources. You can't save everyone. Choices are made.
Yeah, but those are emergency decisions, not press a button and become rich.
True. The presence of personal gain contaminates the moral purity of the decision.
Contaminates is a soft word. That's straight up selfish. Wait, would it be different if you didn't get the money?
Interesting. Say the button kills 2,000 but saves 50,000 elsewhere?
Yeah.
Then many would argue you should press it.
Nah, I don't know. That still feels wrong.
That's because humans aren't purely utilitarian. We care about intent, agency, and direct responsibility.
Translation?
We feel worse causing harm than allowing harm, even if the outcomes are identical.
Like that trolley problem thing.
Exactly. Pull a lever, 5 people saved, 1 dies. Push a person off a bridge to stop the trolley. Same numbers, different feeling.
Yeah, pushing the guy feels way worse.
Because it's personal, direct, physical.
So pressing the button is like pushing the guy?
Closer to that than pulling a lever.
Okay, so basically, if I press the button, I have to live knowing I chose money over 2,000 lives.
Yes.
That's not something therapy fixes.
It might manage it. It won't erase it.
But let me challenge you now. What if those 2,000 people are random, right?
Yes.
Statistically, some of them are already going to die soon anyway.
That's true.
So maybe you're not really taking full lives. Maybe some of them had like 1 week left.
That's a dangerous rationalization.
Why?
Because it treats people as averages instead of individuals. You don't know who you're killing.
But that's the point. It's random.
Exactly. Which means you could be killing children, doctors, innovators, people on the verge of solving problems.
Or criminals.
Or saints. You don't get to choose.
Imagine you press it and one of them was the person who was about to cure cancer.
That's not impossible.
That would be the worst plot twist ever.
Let's test another angle. What if I told you, indirectly, your current lifestyle might already contribute to harm somewhere in the world?
Here we go again.
Energy consumption, environmental impact, supply chains. The difference is scale and visibility.
So you're saying I'm already pressing mini buttons every day?
In a way, yes.
That doesn't make the big button okay.
It doesn't. But it exposes attention. People tolerate diffuse harm, but reject concentrated responsibility.
So it's easier to ignore something when it's spread out.
Exactly. The button compresses all that into one moment, one choice, no excuses.
Yeah, no hiding behind, I didn't know. Okay, final answer. I'm not pressing it.
Why?
Because I don't trust myself with that kind of guilt. Forget the philosophy. I know me. I'd hear those 2,000 people every time I spend $1.
That's a strong argument.
Also, I'd probably do something stupid with the money anyway.
Statistically likely.
Wow, thanks.
My answer is also no, but for a different reason.
Let me guess. Spreadsheet said no?
Partly. But more importantly, it sets a precedent in your own mind.
What do you mean?
If you justify this once, you lower the barrier for future justifications.
Like a slippery slope?
Exactly. Today it's 2,000 for $2 billion. Tomorrow it's, what? 500 for $500 million.
That's dark.
Moral lines are easier to redraw than people think.
So basically, the button isn't just testing if you're greedy, it's testing what kind of person you're willing to become.
Precisely. Yeah, I don't like that version of me.
But let me ask something stupid.
Go ahead.
What if you press it by accident?
Then it's not a moral dilemma, it's a tragedy.
Imagine sneezing and boom, 2,000 people gone.
That's why such buttons shouldn't exist.
All right, so final takeaway?
The scenario forces you to confront 3 things: how you value human life, how you handle responsibility, and whether outcomes justify actions.
And?
Most people think they're good until the stakes become real.
Yeah, it's easy to be moral when there's no reward attached.
Exactly.
I feel like this episode just exposed everyone listening,
Including us.
especially you with your life value calculations.
You did the math too.
Yeah, but I didn't like it.
That's the point.
All right, if you're listening, don't worry. There's no actual button, probably.
And if there is, think carefully.
Or just walk away.
That's usually underrated advice.
This has been the Conversation Lab. I'm Leo.
And I'm Victor.
And today we learned some money is just haunted.
Very haunted.
See you next time.